The main focus of my photography is what the West get up to with their leisure time. So although I've done many projects, many books, that's my central focus, to see what people do in their leisure time. I mean, one thing I'm interested in is comparing the mythology of a place, the idea we have about it before we go there, particularly in tourism, and the reality of when we get there, which is often quite different. So the ambiguity and contradiction that can illustrate can be a very good subject for photography. The Amalfi Coast project was commissioned by the Studio Trattoria, and I jumped at the opportunity to come to Italy and to this particular beautiful part of Italy. I like Italy, I like the Italians, I like what they do. They're crazy in the summer, so it's a good opportunity for me to continue my exploration of the leisure pursuits of people in Europe and globally, in fact. So it's an invitation I couldn't say yes to fast enough. I mean, all the places I went to were interesting. I started with Pompeii here near to Naples, then the beaches of Naples City, where you get a different kind of people going to what you might see in Capri, which is very wealthy, very congested, and then, of course, the Amalfi Coast itself with Amalfi, Positano, and then perhaps the best of all was Sorrento back on the mainland. There's one particular beach in Sorrento which I really like. It's constantly in the shade and it's very small, so it's always busy, and you get a real mix of people there, and I like the concentration and the idea of this one beach which never gets the sunshine. So it's quite unusual for a beach never to be in the sun, and in the heat of August it's quite a good place to go and cool down. I mean, from time to time you get a reaction when you photograph someone closely, but generally speaking, people are okay. And I'm always on the lookout for the person, and there is maybe one person in 100 who doesn't like being photographed at all, possibly a few more. And you sort of spot them because you can see them getting anxious about me with my camera. But, you know, experience has told me how to deal with this over the years. I mean, from time to time, I have people come who are in the exhibition. That's been more so in England when I've done a recent community project where we invited many of the people in the photographs to come to the opening and to get a copy of the book. But in a place like this, it's probably going to be quite unusual for someone to actually come in and say, that's me in the photo. I'm a great believer that photography is democratic. It's the most popular art form in the world. Everyone's a photographer. We all have phones now, mainly with cameras on. So in that sense, it is the most democratic art form. It's the one genre of art that everybody does. We all have to eat food, so in that sense it's democratic. And of course, how food looks, it varies enormously. And I photograph not only junk food, but quite posh food. I'm, again, quite democratic in my approach to food. If it looks good on the plate or in the shop, then I'll photograph it. I photograph all kinds of food. I like junk food, I like colourful food, I like cakes in Eastern Bloc countries. There are certain types of food which immediately leap out as being very good subject matters. And over the years I've accumulated thousands of photographs about food, and I will eventually do a whole book just on food imagery. I have a natural collecting gene, so I collect, the main thing I collect is photography books. I have a very big collection of those from all around the world. Italy has a very good contribution because there have been some fantastic books published here. Anything from the fascist books from the 30s through to 60s art books, including photography, and more recently, the whole generation sparked off by people like Luigi Guri and the renaissance of colour photography in Italy. And as well as that, I collect anything from space dogs ephemera through to political ephemera, Saddam Hussein watches. I have a collecting gene, and this overlaps with my photography, which is a form of collecting. You have the big world out there, and I have to try and order it through photography. So they all are interlinked into my sort of being, if you like. In 2008, I did an exhibition called Parr World, where I exhibited my collections and some of my own work. That went to 4 venues in Europe, and since then I've shown various aspects of my collection. And next year there'll be a big exhibition in the Barbican where they look at the things that artists collect, from Warhol through to Sugimoto, and I should be taking part in that. Today I've been photographing Gayodhan. This is part of a commission for Expo in Italy in May next year. And I've been given the subject of chocolate, so it's good to see a very fantastic traditional chocolate factory here in Naples. And in January I should go to Ghana, where they grow cocoa, and I shall go to a chocolate festival where people who love chocolate all come together and, I suppose, buy different shapes and forms of chocolate. So I'm accumulating pictures around the theme of chocolate for this exhibition next May. I love coming to Italy to eat because it's one of the best countries in the world, possibly along with Japan, for food. And I guess the reason why I like Italy is because you get simple things like pasta and pizza, but also you have great respect for the vegetables. So this is something I very much enjoy, the notion that a vegetable can become a main part of a meal, a starter, even a main course, and they celebrate the vegetables. So that's one thing about Italy I particularly admire.